I sat in my lawyer's office, staring at the computer screen showing my wife's face through video conference. Amanda was crying mascara running down her cheeks, begging me not to go through with it. 3 days ago, she sat on our living room sofa, hands trembling, asking if we could try an open marriage. I thought it was a joke at first. Then I saw the fear in her eyes. She really meant it. What she did not know was that I had already seen everything. I never imagined my wife of 7 years would ask me to share her. Before I take you through how a simple request destroyed everything I believed in, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story shows what happens when someone mistakes kindness for weakness. Now, let me tell you how it all started to fall apart. Amanda and I had been married for 7 years when everything changed. We met at our old company where she worked in marketing and I handled accounts. Back then, life felt simple and honest. We built something together, or at least I thought we did. Our house sat in a quiet neighborhood outside Denver. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. We had 2 dogs, Max and Bella, and a routine that felt comfortable. I worked as an accountant for a financial consulting firm, pulling in steady money. Amanda switched to freelance content creation 2 years back, saying she wanted more flexibility and creative freedom. Our life had rhythm. Every Friday night we cooked dinner together. She would pick the wine, I would handle the steaks. Weekends meant long walks through the park with the dogs, sometimes hiking up in the mountains when the weather cooperated. We shared a bank account because I managed our finances, and Amanda could withdraw whatever she needed. Everything seemed peaceful. Everything seemed right. Then March rolled around this year, 6 months before everything exploded. Amanda started going to the gym more often. What used to be twice a week became 5 times. When I asked about it, she smiled and said she wanted to feel healthier, that she felt like she was letting herself go. I supported her completely. I even paid for the premium gym membership because I wanted her to be happy. She deserved to feel good about herself. The changes kept coming, though. Her wardrobe shifted from comfortable clothes to expensive athletic wear. Leggings that cost $90, sports bras in colors I had never seen her wear. She started keeping her phone face down on every surface. Then came the password. We had never locked our phones from each other before, but suddenly she needed privacy. When I mentioned it casually, she laughed it off, saying she just wanted some boundaries, and I should not feel weird about it. I tried not to. I really did. But something in my gut twisted every time she smiled at her screen and angled it away from me. I told myself I was being paranoid. Marriage requires trust, right? So I pushed down the doubt and decided to believe in her. I had to believe in us. By May, the late nights started. Amanda would leave for client meetings after dinner, sometimes not coming home until 11 or midnight. Her freelance work was picking up, she said. New clients needed FaceTime. I wanted to believe her, but when I checked our bank statements as part of my monthly routine, her income had not increased at all. The numbers did not match the story. One night in early June, she came home just before midnight. I was still awake reading in bed. When she leaned down to kiss me goodnight, I smelled it. Cologne, not mine. A sharp, woody scent that clung to her shirt collar. My stomach dropped, but I kept my face neutral. She noticed me stiffen and immediately explained that she met a client at a crowded bar, and they sat close together, so she must have picked up his scent. It sounded reasonable. I wanted it to be reasonable. But I could not ignore what I was seeing in our joint account anymore. Charges at upscale restaurants I had never been to. Hotel transactions. When I asked about them, Amanda said they were client meetings, business lunches, networking events. She even seemed annoyed that I was questioning her professional expenses. I apologized and dropped it, but I started taking screenshots of every suspicious transaction, just in case. I did not confront her, not yet. Instead, I watched. I documented. I felt like a stranger in my own marriage, studying my wife like she was a case file instead of the person I loved, the person I thought I knew. The truth hit me On a Tuesday in early July, I left work early because a client meeting got canceled. I figured I would surprise Amanda, maybe take her out for lunch. When I pulled onto our street, I saw a black BMW parked in our driveway. Out of state plates. I did not recognize it. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I sat there for a minute, engine running, trying to decide what to do. Then I heard it in my head. My brother David's voice from years ago when he went through his own divorce. He told me that if you ever suspect something, do not go in angry. Go in smart. So I parked down the street and walked around to our back gate. I let myself in quietly through the kitchen door. The house was silent except for sounds coming from upstairs. Laughter. Amanda's voice, light and playful in a way I had not heard in months. Then a man's voice, deep, unfamiliar, coming from our bedroom. Every instinct screamed at me to charge upstairs to throw open that door and confront them both. But I did not. I stood frozen in my own kitchen, listening to my wife laugh with another man in our bed, and I made a choice. I backed out of the house as quietly as I came in. I got in my car and drove to a coffee shop across town where nobody knew me. I sat there until it got dark, shaking, drinking cold coffee, and staring at nothing. Then I called David. He picked up on the second ring. When I told him what happened, he did not gasp or curse or tell me what to do. He just listened. Then he said 6 words that changed everything. Get evidence first. Emotion second. The next 2 weeks turned me into someone I did not recognize. I installed hidden cameras in our house. Legally, I was allowed to since it was joint property. I hired a private investigator. David recommended a guy named Gary, who had 20 years of experience. I told him everything. Within 3 days, Gary had answers. Amanda was seeing her personal trainer from the gym. His name was Kyle Bradford, 28 years old. They met 3 to 4 times a week at his apartment across town. They went to hotels. They took a weekend trip to Aspen that I thought was her girl's getaway. She paid for most of it with our joint account. Gary brought me photos. Amanda and Kyle kissing in a parking lot. Video of them entering a hotel together, her hand in his back pocket. Bank statements showing purchases at men's clothing stores, expensive restaurants, weekend getaways. Gary even managed to access her cloud backup. The messages made me sick. She told Kyle she would handle me, that she just needed time to figure out the right approach, that soon they could be together properly. I sat in Gary's office looking at evidence of my wife's betrayal and felt nothing. The pain had burned itself out. What replaced it was something colder. Clarity. Gary asked me what I wanted to do. I told him I needed 2 more weeks of documentation. He nodded and kept working. 3 weeks after I found Kyle's car in my driveway, Amanda made dinner. She cooked my favorite meal steak with mashed potatoes and roasted vegetables. She set candles on the table, poured wine. The whole time my skin crawled because I knew something was coming. After we ate, she led me to the living room. Her hands were shaking when she sat down on the sofa. I sat across from her in the armchair waiting. She took a breath and said she wanted to talk about something serious. I asked her what. She looked at her hands twisting her wedding ring and said she had been thinking about our relationship, about how we could make it better, stronger. Then she said it. She wanted to try an open marriage. I let the words hang in the air between us. I asked her what that meant exactly. She explained, talking fast like she had rehearsed this, that many couples were exploring this now. That it could bring freshness to a relationship, that we could see other people, but still love each other and stay married. It was modern, she said. Progressive. I asked her flat out if she already had someone. She flinched. Then she shook her head and said, no, she was just thinking about the possibility, just exploring the idea. I told her I needed time to think about it. Relief flooded her face. She actually smiled. She thought I might say yes. She thought I was considering it. That night, lying in bed next to her, I finalized my plan. I was not going to give her an open marriage. I was going to give her a divorce, and I was going to make sure I protected everything I had worked for. The next morning, I flew to Chicago to meet David in person. I brought everything: photos, videos, bank statements, text messages. I laid it all out on his conference table. He went through every piece, taking notes, asking questions. David explained that Colorado was a no-fault divorce state, meaning I did not need to prove adultery to get divorced. But proof of her affair and financial waste could absolutely impact asset division. He outlined a strategy. First, I needed to protect our joint finances. Since I had contributed roughly $75,000 of the $87,000 in our savings, and I could prove Amanda had been spending joint funds on her affair, I was within my rights to move my portion to a separate account. Second, we needed to document every dollar she spent on Kyle. Third, I would file for divorce without warning and request an unequal division of assets based on financial waste. I asked David how long I had to wait. He said 2 more weeks to gather final documentation. Then we move. I flew back to Denver that Sunday night. Amanda asked where I had been. I told her I went to visit David, which was true. She did not ask why. She was too relieved that I had not said no to her open marriage idea. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. I pretended everything was normal. I came home from work, ate dinner with Amanda, watched television beside her. The whole time I was moving pieces into place. I transferred $65,000 from our joint account into a new account at a different bank. I left $22,000 for Amanda. I redirected my paycheck to the new account. I transferred ownership of certain assets I had purchased before marriage back into my name alone. I photographed every valuable item in the house for documentation. Gary continued surveillance. He documented 10 more meetings between Amanda and Kyle during those 2 weeks. He discovered they had been planning their future together. Kyle thought Amanda was going to leave me. Amanda kept telling him she just needed the right moment. Then Gary uncovered something that made my blood boil. Amanda and Kyle had taken another trip, this time to a resort in Aspen. She told me she was visiting her college friend in Boulder. She spent $3,000 of our money on that weekend. $3,000 for a romantic getaway with the man she was cheating with using money I had earned. Friday night, 3 weeks after Amanda asked for an open marriage, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe beside me, and I felt absolutely nothing for her. The woman I married was gone. This stranger had taken her place. Monday morning, I woke up early. Amanda was still asleep. I got dressed quietly, grabbed my work bag, and left the house like any other day. Except I did not go to my office. I went straight to the courthouse. I filed for divorce. I submitted every piece of evidence David and I had compiled. Photos of Amanda and Kyle, video footage, bank statements highlighting every dollar she spent on the affair, text messages where she planned her future with him. I requested an unequal division of assets based on waste of marital funds and my significantly higher financial contribution to our marriage. I requested she reimburse me for money spent on her affair. After filing, I went to the small apartment I had rented the week before. My friends Sam and Luis were already there waiting. I had packed 2 suitcases of my essential belongings the previous night and hidden them in my car trunk. Sam and Luis helped me move the boxes I had secretly packed over the past week. By 10 in the morning, I was moved out. I left Amanda a note on the kitchen counter, simple and direct. You wanted an open marriage. I am giving you complete freedom. Divorce papers will be served today. Then I turned off my phone and went to my new apartment. I sat on the floor surrounded by boxes and felt the weight of 7 years collapse. I did not cry. I just sat there numb and exhausted, waiting for what came next. Amanda was served the divorce papers at 4 in the afternoon. By 4:30, my phone started exploding with calls and texts. I did not answer any of them. I read the messages, though. She asked if I was insane. She said she could explain everything. She begged me to talk to her. I sent one text back through David. My lawyer will contact you. That evening, Amanda checked our bank account. She called me 37 times in 2 hours. I know, because I counted. I did not pick up once. She sent messages saying I had stolen from her, that what I did was illegal, that she would take me to court. She did not understand yet. I had not stolen anything. I had protected what was mine. 3 months passed before our first court date. During that time, Amanda hired a lawyer and tried every approach to reach me. She sent apology letters. She showed up at my office twice before security escorted her out. She called my mother, my brother, my friends. Nobody gave her anything. I did not see her or speak to her once during those 3 months. David handled all communication. I focused on work on building my new life in the apartment that slowly started feeling like home. The court date arrived on a cold October morning. I wore my best suit. David met me outside the courthouse and reminded me to stay calm no matter what happened inside. Amanda looked terrible. She had lost weight. Her hair was pulled back in a messy knot. Her lawyer, a nervous-looking man in his 40s, kept whispering to her while she stared at me across the room. I did not look away. The hearing lasted 3 hours. David presented everything methodically. He showed the timeline of the affair, the financial records of money spent from our joint account on hotels, gifts, trips for Amanda and Kyle, the text messages where she discussed leaving me, the photos and videos. Amanda's lawyer tried to argue that open marriage was a modern relationship choice and that my moving money was financial abuse. The judge, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes, did not look impressed. She asked Amanda's lawyer directly if Amanda had informed me of her affair before asking for an open marriage. The lawyer stumbled, then admitted no. The judge asked if Amanda had my permission to spend joint funds on her extramarital relationship. Again, no. The judge took a recess to review everything. When she came back, her decision was clear. She ruled that I was entitled to 70% of our joint savings due to my higher contribution and Amanda's waste of marital assets. Amanda was ordered to repay $8,000 of the money she spent on her affair. Our house would be sold, and I would receive $280,000 after the mortgage was paid, while Amanda would get $120,000. I kept my entire retirement account. Amanda was responsible for her own car loan. Amanda started crying when the judge read the decision. Her lawyer asked for reconsideration. The judge denied it. Outside the courthouse, I finally looked at Amanda. She stood by her car mascara, running, staring at me like she was seeing a stranger. Maybe she was. Maybe I had become someone different. Someone who did not let betrayal slide. Someone who protected himself. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, but I turned and walked away. David put his hand on my shoulder as we headed to his car. It was over. I later heard through mutual friends that Kyle disappeared the moment the divorce became public. He blocked Amanda on everything. Apparently, he wanted the excitement of an affair, not the mess of reality. Amanda moved back in with her parents. Her freelance career took a hit because word spread in her professional circles. She sent me messages for months afterward, apologies mixed with anger, begging for another chance one week and cursing me the next. I never responded. Eventually, the messages stopped. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I moved to Portland, Oregon. I took a position with a larger financial consulting firm. Better pay, better opportunities. I rented a small apartment overlooking the river. I started over. The first few months were brutal. I will not lie. I had nights where I could not sleep, where I replayed everything and asked myself what I could have done differently. I wondered if I should have fought for the marriage instead of walking away. I questioned whether I was too cold, too calculated. But slowly things shifted. I started hiking every weekend with a group I found online. I took up yoga. I learned to meditate, which felt ridiculous at first, but actually helped quiet my mind. I made new friends who knew nothing about my past, who met me as I was building myself into someone new. I heard updates about Amanda occasionally. She was struggling financially. The divorce settlement did not go as far as she hoped, especially after legal fees. She tried to reconnect with Kyle, but he had moved on with someone else. She was working a regular office job now, the freelance dream having faded. Looking back now, I realized that the hardest part was not the betrayal itself. It was accepting that someone I loved could lie to my face while asking me to accept her affair as something modern and progressive. She did not want an open marriage. She wanted permission to cheat without consequences. The moment she suggested it, I knew our marriage was already over. Not because of Kyle, but because she thought I was weak enough to accept being disrespected in my own home. Walking away was not about revenge. It was about self-respect. I could have confronted her that day I found them. I could have made a scene. But I chose strategy over emotion. I protected myself legally and financially, first then emotionally. Some people called me cold. They said I should have fought for the marriage. But you cannot fight for something when the other person has already abandoned it. Amanda did not stumble into an affair. She planned it, funded it with our money, and then tried to manipulate me into accepting it. The best revenge was not taking the money. It was building a life where she became irrelevant, where her apologies meant nothing because I had already moved on. Today, I am not angry. I am not bitter. I am free. Free from someone who saw my kindness as weakness. Free from a relationship built on lies. And most importantly, free to find someone who values loyalty the way I do. If there is one thing I learned, it is this: never let someone's betrayal make you bitter. Let it make you wiser. Let it teach you that walking away with your dignity is worth more than any amount of money or any false reconciliation. And always, always protect yourself first, because if you do not, no one else will. She thought asking for an open marriage would let her have everything. Instead, she lost the one person who actually loved her. And honestly, that is not my problem anymore. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because they betrayed your trust? Drop a comment below and let me know your story. If this resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming betrayal and finding strength. Share this with someone who needs to hear that protecting yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope wherever you are in your journey, you find the courage to choose yourself. Stay strong, and remember that your peace is worth more than anyone's lies.